I know the only reason to travel by train is to travel with weapons.
False. Other reasons include, but are not limited to, meeting Donald Gleason and or Merritt Weaver for an affair, playing cribbage with a random stranger, or finding out what baby tastes like. Also, I know this particular train car is so hard-edged that they drink alcohol from taps that look like snakes, but why is there a knuck dispenser at every table? No one who enters this car would come unprepared to the point that this bar freely hands out brass knuckles at each individual table, would they? And yes, this is the Rick and Morty where the creators decided nothing matters, so it's our job to say that everything does. Take that, logic.
Who are you?
Dirty Sanchez. Rick is clearly firing toward the ceiling in some of these shots, yet everyone hits its mark. Did he purchase a Zorg ZF-1 from Gary Oldman? Even in a simulation or whatever the you want to call this, why not drink this potion sooner? You know, growing a second ass just so you can fart out of two buttholes is a true waste of real estate.
I don't accept your weird leap in logic that has everyone on a train going to kill one guy.
I'm wondering who made the decision to animate Jeremy from TVSins in this way.
Why would we take turns telling stories about it like little girls at a sleepover?
They are called slumber parties, and you, sir, are a meanie.
What is with the Rick Sanchez obsession?
I know, right? And which Rick Sanchez are you even talking about? There's like a whole citadel of them. This show plays so fast and loose with its Ricks that I never know which one is the real Rick and which ones aren't. It gets confusing.
You don't see us just switching channel narrators in the middle of a video without ever explaining it. I mean, can you imagine? I know this story is BS, but how the did that Christmas tree jump from the right side of the window to all the way over to the left side of the window? Morty and Summer were hanging ornaments on it when Rick walked in. Now they're nowhere near it. Also, good to see that they've managed to set up only one glass of wine on this table before bringing out the turkey.
None of my business, but he didn't even save Christmas in that story.
This whole episode would be excellent at TVSins.
Oh, you don't have to pretend you didn't date him. We all did.
Now, a lot of you will be focused on Yoda in this shot, but I'm more focused on the fact that Rick dated Quinn Morgendorffer, Total Recall's Sofia Vergara, and Conan O'Brien. Also, if you're an octopus, how do you pick which leg the garter goes on? Is it like a wedding ring situation?
It's not a real train, it's a story device.
Okay, guys, if you're gonna do all our work for us, what are we supposed to even do? Show random pictures of adorable cat costumes?
If we wanted one-offs, we'd do interdimensional cable.
This episode is interdimensional cable, only this time Rick and Morty is the show that they keep flipping to. It's like Rick and Morty and Inception just had a threesome baby with devs. It's Rick and Morty entering their own portal like Malkovich did in Being John Malkovich. That sounds like it should be a sin removal, so it won't be. Since nothing makes sense in this episode, I'm going to remove a sin for the oversized Tickets Please arcade game with a huge monitor that requires a seat, a VR helmet, and a giant console to play.
Everyone give me tickets!
Ruining your grandkid's birthday.
This could come in handy.
So in this literally metaphorical, literal metaphor anthology story train, air is continuity? Does that even mean anything? Does anything mean anything?
Sorry to nitpick, sir.
Sorry to nitpick.
And doesn't that mean those two could be any?
Rick and Morty has blown up continuity as we know it, but what I really want to know is why are there tally marks on the wall suggesting that someone was trapped here for 10 days? Even in this wacky world, it's hard to believe that Rick and Morty can punch somebody just once and they die instantly.
Of course, this thing is just a circle.
The first image of this episode is a regular-ass looking train in space. The track might be circular, but the train isn't. There's probably a point to this, but I'm too lazy to look it up.
We don't have to do anything, Morty. This is just a structural guide. We're obviously going to impart our own style. I don't like how meta this is getting, Rick.
You know, I've watched this episode 5 times, and a lot of it feels like the writers were going through a therapy session. Like they're worried that their original show might get stale. It's like a palate cleanser. But after waiting for this show to come back since 2017, waiting 2 years to get half of a season, and waiting another 4 months for the next episode, I'm not sure I really needed an episode where the writers obsessed over their own creation. What's funny is that a year from now, this episode will be just another episode, and the pressure on it to be great will be completely gone. This sounds like it should be a sin, so I'm removing one.
Shut up, Morty. You're 14. You watch videos of people on YouTube reacting to YouTube.
Bet you really felt that one deep, huh?
I'll be the judge of when we get too meta.
Look, I don't have a problem with the meta. I have a problem with when the meta becomes a lazy excuse just to do whatever you want and pretend it's clever. Like when YouTube channels get an easy laugh by accusing the show they're dissecting of doing the very thing that people accuse them of doing. Oh, wink, oh, wink.
What's happening? Going into an act break.
You know, it's kind of like they're trying to steal our job and break our will so hard that it never returns. Like when parents find their kids with cigarettes and force them to smoke the whole pack. Well, bad news, Dad. Our lungs were made for this.
I'm a bird and a person and more.
Sure, that was a great moment.
Why is it that in this train car, the people get a stage to tell their Rick and Morty stories? Also, taping photos on curtains.
We've been here a really long time and nobody's taken our tickets.
How does a guy suspended in disbelief in space gather up enough momentum to suddenly appear for a joke? I just answered my own question, didn't I? Rick and Morty just made the most TVSins proof episode ever with this thing, didn't they? Or should I say the most TVSins debunked episode ever?
For cutesy name news.
Cutesy name news? Meet insert joke here, sin.
Stop thinking and do it.
There was this.
My name is Mike Johnson. That's good coffee.
Wait, is this how Morty is telling the story, or is this the representation of the story Morty is telling? I mean, is Morty standing on top of the train saying, my name is Mike Johnson, that's good coffee? Or is he talking about a guy named Mike Johnson who likes coffee?
Why is lesbian part of her job title?
Oh, now you're progressive?
I love you ever since you were mailed to me by a doctor woman.
This is a brilliant deconstruction of the Bechdel test, mainly the idea that some people have that following it inherently creates a great narrative. Jurassic World passed the Bechdel test.
Fight them with your heavy special time. You do it too.
Wow. You know what's really special about Summer and Beth's heavy special time? Their pants stay completely intact. That new brand of Kotex is phenomenal.
I'm that Supreme Court lady, and you f***ing did it.
I don't know if this actually passes the Bechdel test. Beth was called Mom, and Morty couldn't even remember Ruth Bader Ginsburg's name, so I'm not sure there are 2 or more named females in this story. Rick saved Morty by plugging his oxygen into Morty's helmet, but when Rick falls, they are no longer connected. And sure, Morty could hold his breath for a few seconds, but why do both of their helmets now have hoses plugged into them?
Don't worry, Morty. Nothing out there is canon.
As if it matters. This show is to canon like the Dursleys are to Harry Potter. It throws it under the stairs and only lets it see the light of day when it absolutely has to. If continuity doesn't matter, then this one ball that was definitely coming towards Rick shouldn't be coming towards Rick in the next shot. It should be a lizard at this point. Am I giving this show a sin for not breaking continuity? Yes, I am. Who the am I?
It's not real. Nothing's real.
You can tell because not only do these officers arrive 5 seconds after Rick is stabbed, they come from 2 different directions. Did the third one run in and then around the camera and then in from the other side? Well, it's nice to see their cuts and bruises from the rest of this fight have healed up so nicely. Is this intentional? Maybe. Does it matter? Lasagna. I'd take all the sins back if this ends with one of these 2 bringing the other one back to life and then exchanging a kiss that is somehow both platonic and romantic. Even Rick and Morty can't help but play the hits for a cheap thrill. And if you don't think it's a cheap thrill, explain to me again how the Meeseeks play into this scene in any way whatsoever. I'll wait. Time's up. They don't.
Thank you for sending your only begotten son.
Wait a second. No, what are you doing? You guys would never do this.
Okay, I understand that this guy represents the fans and or the network. But if Rick and Morty started praying like this, everybody would know it's building to a joke, which is exactly what this does. Complete with a VeggieTales reference. I mean, even if this happened for real, we'd laugh because it's so anti-them. Listening to Rick's voice is funny enough that they could do a whole episode in church with him playing a pastor and it would be funny. Somehow. I'm thinking it would be funny somehow.
I beg your pardon?
Well, it is Jesus, and they're in a machine, so this is as Deus Ex Machina as it gets. And I think that deserves a sin-off.
So, what do you think?
Haha! You thought this was a big play on the setting of Snowpiercer, but it turns out it was a big play on a scene from the 1991 Addams Family. Haha! You thought this was a big play on the setting of Snowpiercer, which turned out to be a big play on a scene from the 1991 Addams Family, but it was actually a big play on a scene from Ant-Man.
Nobody's out there shopping with this virus.
Holy way to get that in there at the last minute. We know how long it takes to get one of these episodes done, and to do some timely last-second thing like this, that's awesome. But now that I think of it, why is this episode titled Never Ricking Morty? Is that a play on the never-ending story? Does that work on any level? Is it a joke? A play on words? Does this episode have anything to do with that movie? Does a horse get real sad and die? They should have just called it Throw Logic from the Train and been done with it.
Try it now. Look it up. It's real.
It's not.
You read the Bible, Rick.
Make sure you click that bell icon.
Sellouts.
But clicking the little bell icon is how you make sure you get notified every time we release a video. So click it.
Sellouts.
I have created things that will change the world for the better. For instance, here is a monkey with 4 asses.
Oh, that's funny. You're gonna look funnier sucking my with no teeth.
So, why did you date Rick Sanchez?
Anything you'd like to eat. Turkish delight.
Why is there a dead man in the sky?
If it's any consolation, he had very few loved ones.
Maybe what matters is to love yourself first and soar, child of air and land. with wings and hands. Yes, you're a bird and a person. Guess who's got 2 penises and all the agency?
Did you make a penis?
Dude,